Everyone, tonight's guest has earned 17 world and national disc golf and distance titles. He's held multiple Guinness World Records for throwing distance with both the backhand and the sidearm. This dude is over 50 years old and still competing on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He's been teaching the game since '95 and is gracious enough to speak with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scott Stokely.
You know, if you would have kept going 10 more seconds, my head would have expanded so big that my AirPods would have popped out and hit that painting beside me. Yeah, and I'm already gonna call question one thing you said. Competing on the pro tour, that's a very loose definition of the word compete. When I played 2 years ago, I felt very happy to have cashed at half of the events against the best kids in the world. And I'm very proud of just cashing half of the events, but whether that means I'm competing on the pro tour is up for interpretation. But I plan on winning this year, so I guess you're probably prophetic.
Yeah,
I'll be competing this year.
Well, one of the hosts on this show, so we did a preseason show a couple weeks ago, and one of the hosts had you as one of his top 5 sleepers of the season. I don't know which guy that was, but he might be the guy talking right now. So.
Yep.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Last year, I shot 1028 for the season and raised my rating to 1,017, which is, we're talking, middle of the pack, right? But not the bottom. I'm in the hunt. But I did put together a tournament where I shot 1049 for the tournament. And if I replicate that this year, that's probably not lead card, but that's chase card. And people win from chase card. So if I can replicate that tournament, I will be in the top 10, certainly, at a tournament. So I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which tournament are you most looking forward to throughout
the World Championships? Yeah. Always the World Championships. Always. Yeah. This might sound like the comedy relief section, depending on who you ask. I plan on winning. I always am there to win. If I honestly thought my chances of winning a tournament were 0, I would step aside and let someone take my spot. It's low, it's not 0. And I think if you're not playing to win, you shouldn't be out there. I mean, you can play C tiers and B tiers for friendships and exercise and for fun, but you don't play the pro tour for fun. You play the pro tour to win. So that's the one I want to win the most.
That would be amazing.
What a story that would be,
disc golf world for sure.
I know,
Scott,
right?
do you plan on playing the Age Protector World Championships too, or just the Men's Pro World Championships?
No, I'm really excited. I'm playing a big tournament up in Canada. I've never been to the Canadian Rockies. It's really important to me that I get to go up there. And honestly, right now, it's just my mindset is not that. My mindset is I dove in head first, feet first. Wait, I guess if you do them at the same time, it's a belly flop. Never mind. But I'm in to compete just against the Simon Lizotte and Isaac Robinson and Paul Macbeth. So I'm committed to that. That's my mindset. This year, I take every year 1 year at a time, but this year that's all I'm doing.
Well, I think that's like you're exactly right. That's how you have to look at it. If you're not there to compete with the best and beat the best, you're just there. So, that's exactly how you have to look at it. If you're going to,
I love the attitude.
Commit it. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, and so here's the thing. When I played in 2022, I wasn't qualified to be out there. Like based on my rating, I was brought out or allowed to have my tour card, maybe for some nostalgia reasons, maybe because I brought an older audience to Disc Golf Network. Maybe it was a business decision, right? There were reasons, but they weren't because of my performance on the course. At the time that I applied to be, which was in 2021, I was like 980 something then, because I hadn't been playing or practicing. And So I'm so grateful for the opportunity, and I think I did everyone proud. But when I went to Europe last year, I didn't honestly think I was going to be on the Disc Golf Pro Tour again. I had the time of my life. I got to experience the tour, which we dreamt of for all those years. Now I'm going to go experience Europe. But the thing is when I earned my tour card at European Pro Tour events, I was sixth in tour points on the European Tour, 2/5 and a third. And when I got my card, I'm like, oh, I belong out there. Like I'm not being invited there for any other reason other than the fact that I have my card. And I have this card until you pry it from my cold, dead fingers. But that's what told me, I qualified based on the metrics of the tour. And that's when I said, okay, I'm still qualified to play. If or when that point comes when when I don't qualify based on my play on the field, I'll reevaluate everything. But right now I'm still an open player because I earned it.
Yep. And you're playing next weekend in Waco, right?
Yes.
Are you close enough to have been practicing either course at this time?
No, but I hope there's only one course they're playing in Waco.
Two.
I hope they're playing two. Okay, well apparently okay, so I got to go practice the other course that I've only played the Bravo East.
Yeah, the Beast. And
yes,
apparently they're playing a ball golf course somewhere close to there.
Okay, so I'll be down there on Sunday night to practice. So I'll probably play the ball golf course twice and then the Bravo East course once. I'm excited. I mean, I played Waco last year. The first round of the Waco tournament, I bogeyed hole 18, my first round. Had I birdied hole 18, I'm on lead card round 2. I was only 2 strokes off the lead card. I was on the fourth card because it's always so tight. But I was almost on coverage my second round at Waco. One errant throwaway. So I'm excited.
Yeah. We can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, let's hashtag the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Let's put Scott on the league. Let's put him on the feature card round 1.
Yeah, no doubt.
I would love that. I would much rather be on the feature card round 4.
There you go. I know you would. Attaboy.
Yeah.
Let's see him there too.
Yeah. So, hey, they put me on feature card once on 2022, and I shot a 1028 rated round. I felt so happy because everybody was clamoring for it all year, and they chose the last event of the season in Butler to put me on feature card first round. And I was like, I've been waiting all year. No pressure there, right? Everybody's been talking about it for a year, and then I played really well. And I felt relieved as much as happy.
I tell you, we always start our interviews with 3 questions, and Ronnie's in charge of that. And I'm really looking forward to the answers to these 3 questions. We've had some really great responses. I think these might these might make the top. So Ronnie, why don't you take over for us?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been as excited to do a 3 from the tee as this one. Scott, like I said, we asked all our guests the exact same 3 questions to start the interview. Question number 1. Do you remember the first disc you ever had, and do you still have it?
Okay, so I absolutely do not, because I first played in 1976, not only before Beveled Edge Golf Discs, which came out in '83, but before they even put the phosphorus to make the Whammo Frisbees heavier, which became the Midnight Flyers. So I first played before there was a disc made for disc golf or Frisbee golf then. So no idea. Back then, you would go to the grocery store, you would buy a Frisbee off the shelf and go to the park. And you might compete in a tournament with that Frisbee. No exaggeration.
That's crazy.
I will tell you my first golf disc, though, because this is actually it's a beautiful story. And it's a life lesson to the world, I think. Because my dad died when I was 7, and when I moved to this town, I had no friends in town, and I started hanging out at the park. I just moved from like 7 miles away, which was the other end of the world, to down the street. I could walk there. So I'm 11 or 12, right at that age, and I went to the park every single day and played by myself, probably with a fastback or a Masters Frisbee. And then there was one day where this man with long red hair, this huge bushy red mustache, came up to me and said, "Hey, we see you out here every day. My name's Bruce Sisson. I'm president of the Oak Grove Gophers. We have a Frisbee club. We'd like for you to be a part of it. And he handed me a couple midnight flyers, a couple golf Frisbees. And all of a sudden, it's like I wasn't just playing Frisbee golf, I was playing real Frisbee golf. And the important moment, the real importance of that moment to me was I was a kid at that point. For all I know, the next day, some kid at school could have invited me to go play tennis. I take up tennis. My life could have gone this entire different direction. That all happened because a grown man saw a child and said, I need to reach out to this kid. He's here by himself every day. In 2024, you're not even allowed to do that, right? I mean, but which is tragic because
Right.
the Oak Grove Gophers were the best people I've ever known, but they adopted me at that point. And now I didn't have one dad; I had a whole club full of dads, and that set the path of my life at that moment. So my first golf discs came with that story behind them.
That's beautiful.
That's great.
It is, and I still talk to Bruce to this day. It's been 40 years, and I'm still in touch with him.
That's great.
Yeah, it is.
Hole two. Second question. Dream card. You've got you, and you've got 4 others to make up your fivesome. Living, dead, anybody you want, make believe, Mickey Mouse, anybody you want. Who's in your 5?
Okay, so right now on my dream card, slam dunk. It is Isaac Robinson. It is. Wait, say slam dunk. I guess as I hesitate to the answer, Ricky Wysocki, Simon Lizotte, Ricky Wysocki, Isaac Robinson, and Matty O. I'm trying to pick the 4 best players in the world because that means I'm on the lead card. All right, that's not the question. That's not really what you're asking. It's kind of the truth. But if I had to pick any players, like say from the sport, it's probably Dan Roddick, PDJ number 3. It would be Leonard Muse, who's a tournament director in Northern California, played a big part of my life. It would Jim Kenner, the owner of Discraft. It would be Dave McCormick, the owner of Gateway. And who would the 4th one be? The end of the fivesome would be, oh my gosh, let's go with Barry Schultz, because all 5 of those played a part in helping me or improving my life off the course, but the relationships were all disc golf.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Now this one tends to get a little more difficult. Some people it's real easy. Other people they have to really hem and haw. What's your favorite disc golf memory?
My favorite disc golf memory is, honestly, if I had to pick one memory, it would be the moment that I got my first golf disc from Bruce Sisson. That was the moment that my life was set on that path. So that's actually pretty easy because that is the most important moment, maybe of my life. Certainly there's no moments more important. So yeah, I would have to say that was it. That was the moment from that moment forward, I was there every single day. I knew the club. You couldn't have talked me into playing tennis because I wanted to be with my Oak Grove Gophers.
Well, it's fantastic that your answers led so much to the Gophers, because my first question that I really wanted to ask you about was about Oak Grove, your time there, the memories from there. Is there any 1 or 2 in particular that other than Bruce gave you that really stand out to you from your time at Oak Grove?
Sure. So I lived in the park. I like for a while after school, I would just go straight to the park until dark. Saturday and Sunday, wake up, go to the park till dark, and come home. By the time I was in like 8th or 9th grade, I'd be dropped off at school. I would take my books, put them in my locker, take my golf discs out, go to the park all day. I would ditch all 6 classes. At the end of the day, I would come back, put discs back in my locker, grab my backpack, and my mom would pick me up. And I'm not, that was just pretty much every day. That's all I did. I lived there. Specific memories from the park. The first memory is that the park was rough. Okay. So in the early days of the sport, with a few exceptions. There was always exceptions, but for the most part, the park was a place for people to drink and party. Like, here was the expression I said in my book, is one of my favorite lines from my autobiography. In the early days of the sport, people didn't drink and do drugs while they were disc golfing. They disc golfed while they drank and did drugs. Right? In the early days of the sport, it was very it was very counterculture. Oak Grove was a place where people could get off work if they had jobs and just wind down and relax. They could have a beer. They could do something else that made them relax after a hard day's work, and nobody messed with them. And there's a huge community built around being able to do that. You know, it's probably no different than the local bowling alley where everybody goes because that's where they can go have a beer. That's all it was. And so the memories of the park were a very different demographic than you have found today. Like, there were almost no families playing back then. It was a bunch of grown men and a couple of grown women. And by that, I mean all grown men. Just about, not all, just about. So most of the memories were just based on being around adults who were just relaxing and being adults and just winding down from life. My best memory from the park by far was winning the Wintertime Open. I won that when I was 17 years old, which at the time, it's listed as a C tier on the PDGA website. It was a C tier with $600 for first place, which was unheard of in 1987. There were players that flew in from all over the country. The best in the world champions were at that. And when I was 17 years old, I won. And that was more important to me than any other tournament in the sport back then. I mean, that was my home course. And so that's probably my best memory from there.
It's great.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I'd love to. It's on my bucket list. I definitely, I mean, it's the birthplace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, yeah, I want to go there. It's like going to, for our sport, it's no different than like going to St. Andrews.
It is St. Andrews.
And
it is our St. Andrews
at some point.
Yeah, it's a special place. I've actually been working with the Oak Grove Gophers, and I've had meetings with them to try to do something. Well, the club is behind this, right? But I'm trying to assist in making this into more of a special destination. There's so many things. I've proposed some things which I hope we can do to make it something where you show up, you don't go, oh, that's it. Like, there needs to be a number of things, historical things, but you're working with the city and the county, and it's just there's always red tape. But I think they're making progress. The course for years was in jeopardy of being torn out of the ground because who cares about this frisbee golf thing? And all the players were like, no, it's really important to the sport. And they're like, it's not a sport. The culture's changed. Like, now everybody knows, they know what it is. They've seen it on ESPN. They know it's a real thing. So it seems like the city's starting to go, oh my God, we actually got something here.
Yeah.
Like, we have something here that's special that we can brag about. And, you know, like it's changed. And I think they're going to get there.
Well, that segues us directly into my first question. What are some of the biggest and most important changes to disc golf that you've seen over your career?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, from 1976 till now.
I would say the biggest thing is the evolution of the women's game. Honestly, I mean, and by the way, there's like 8 other things that are like, you know, if I wouldn't argue if you said, well, there's more juniors playing, or you know, there's more cultural acceptance. You know, I think it's probably the evolution of the women's game. Very few women played back then. Even in 2000, when I quit, there were very few women that played the game. And then when I took 13 years off. When I came back, I went out to the course, and there'd be a group of like 3 women, like on the first tee. And I'd look around going, I wonder when their boyfriends are going to show up, because women don't just play disc golf by themselves. No, I mean, look, I was not wrong for thinking that. And the next thing you know, they're playing, and it's like, oh, well, that's really cool. And then 3 groups later, it's a foursome of women. I'm like, this is really like happening. Women play this game. And that was probably the biggest change, because it went from almost none to it's a real sport. It's a real, it's a real sport now for both divisions.
And women's disc golf is in a really good spot right now and only getting better. We ranted and raved a lot over the performances of the ladies at chess.com. Like Evelina was amazing, and obviously Paige coming back was exciting to us. So we enjoy the ladies game as much as we enjoy the men's game.
Yeah, I mean it's great, and the thing is, I view the success of disc golf not by the success of the Pro Tour. The success of the Pro Tour tells me how successful the Pro Tour is. But the Pro Tour isn't disc golf. The Pro Tour is this little tiny segment of disc golf. There's, by some estimates, 15 million people that play, or at least recreationally play disc golf. Like, I'm far more interested in how the sport's doing with the 15 million people than I am with the 150, even though I'm one of the 150.
Yeah.
And by all those metrics, the sport is better than it's ever been. In fact, people it's so funny. They go, well, when do you think disc golf's going to become this thing? And it's like, I'm like, how has disc golf not become this amazing cultural sensation? Like, if you're comparing it by Pro Tour prize money, by that one narrow metric, oh my God, we're so far from ball golf. Yeah, give me 10 other metrics and I'll tell you why disc golf is crushing ball golf. And that's nothing against ball golf, but in every other available metric, we are golf, minus the Pro Tour money. And I would love to see the kids on tour make more money. I want it to happen, but that's the only metric where it's not keeping up. Everything else, we're crushing.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how this sport's just grown to. Like, we live in Wichita, Kansas, right? So we are very familiar with all the courses around here. We know basically everyone in the community, but you can't go to a course now and not see someone new playing the sport that you don't know, or multiple people playing that you don't know. And it happens every single time you go out, and we play almost every day. So it's awesome to see how many people are adopting the sport. I think Doug Bierkus was on, and he mentioned how he doesn't have to explain anymore what disc golf is.
Exactly.
And I think that's super awesome.
It is. Well, see, all of these are stepping stones. So, PDJ number 3, Dan Roddick. I was just a couple. Actually, I talked to him today, but just a couple, like a month ago or 2 months ago, I was out in Los Angeles, and we spent, time together like we always do when I'm in LA. And he was telling me a story just to put this in perspective. And it's so significant when you actually step back in the context of this. So when they did the World Championships, they did Frisbee golf at Oak Grove Park. The tournament was held at Brookside Park, which is just, 2 miles away in Pasadena. The overall, the guts, the freestyle, the dogs, everything. But they put the course in Oak Grove Park. Well, at the end of the tournament, they didn't take the course out. And at this time, the way Dan Roddick puts it is, I knew every single person in the sport. We all knew every person in the sport. There was only a couple hundred of us. So we all were this community. We all knew each other. So we go to Oak Grove Park the day after the tournament, is his words. We went to Oak Grove Park the day after the tournament, and there were a couple people there who had read about it in the newspaper or came out to watch, who took Frisbees and were playing. And he said that was the first moment where he said, whoa, wait a second. There's other people playing that I don't know. And just having people come out playing independent, they weren't brought out by another player. They just showed up. He went, oh, I think this is a really big deal we're starting to see. We have 2 people that have never heard, that we don't know. No, there's all these like watershed moments. They don't seem like a big deal. Here, I got one for you. This has cracked me up, because the significance of this is like, it's so big, even though it doesn't seem like much. So I was out, ironically, with Bruce Sisson in Oregon, like maybe 3 years ago, and we're out at a restaurant. We're sitting out on the patio having dinner. The waiter walks by and he stops and sees. He goes, "Hey, whoa, everybody! We have a celebrity here. It's Scott Stokely." Okay, that's not that. I mean, nowadays that's actually become pretty commonplace, and even then, it happened once in a while. Here's what was interesting about it. I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." Signed some autographs and everything, and I asked him. I said, "So how long have you been playing?" And he says to me, "Oh, I've never tried it. It looks like fun though. I might give it a try someday." Like, wait, what? Hold on a second. other sports. Non-players watch the sport. Non-football players watch football. Not our sport. What do you mean a non-disc golfer is watching disc golf because it's interesting as a sport? I went, this is a big deal, right? You know, and you know, it was wild to me. So I'll never forget that moment.
So
That's awesome. Well, speaking of moments you can't forget, what is the single greatest Scott Stokely shot of all time?
I can't recall. No, obviously it was the shot at the Skins match 2 years ago. That was just such a well, there's a documentary out called Not Just a Shot that tells it's a 1 hour documentary. It's been winning awards at film festivals, all like mainstream film festivals around the country. Like as we speak, is winning awards. But it's, you know, it's a story of everything that led up to it, and just like how many things had to go like it was in a movie, like, which, by the way, that also means quite a few failures along the way. Like, it's not an interesting story if somebody who's been successful all season throws a good shot. You're like, oh wow, Calvin threw a good shot. Shocking. You know. So it was a confluence of events that came together for that, and it just, yeah, it meant everything to me.
I predicted that as the shot, and I was shot
I
down
did
by
not.
a couple of people.
Yeah, I did not predict it.
Not a couple,
I'm really
just
bad.
I think you miscounted a couple, or miscounted a couple.
Yeah, I'm really bad. If you ever want to win a bet, Scott, just make a bet with me. All right.
Oh, you bet that I would take that one?
I bet that you would not. They both said that you would, and I'm like, he's been playing for so long. It's got to mean he's got to have more than just that one.
No, so here's what this is what I talked about in the documentary. What was such a big deal to me was that for years in the 90s, I mean, I was never able to beat Ken at the World Championships. Ken beat everybody, you know, but I was the only player to have 2 second places. I was the Karl Malone of the, you know, to Michael Jordan. But even though that was the case, I was doing things back then that no one had ever done with a golf disc, that most people didn't even think was possible with a golf disc. Nobody was throwing a sidearm within 150 feet of mine, and nobody was throwing it back in within 100 feet. And so I have all these memorable shots from the 90s. I won't rattle them off. I talked about them in the documentary, but all these shots that are effectively going to be forgotten because there was no media. No one had cell phones. You know, there were a couple of videos of these shots that have been lost. And so I've always been kind of stuck with this idea that I did all these things and no one's ever going to get to see it. And they're going to be like, as soon as the people who were at these events and back in the 90s are gone, those shots are disappeared into the ether. And nobody will ever know what I could do. And then so to have a moment where I could do something and I could be like, that's me. That's who I am. Even if it's just for one shot, even if I can't put it together for a whole round at age 52, at least I got that one moment where I'm like, that's what Scott Stokely could do with a golf disc. And it meant so much just to have one part of our sports history captured, or for me to have one of my shots captured and be part of our sports history was like a weight off my shoulders, as strange as that may sound.
No, that makes perfect sense. And I never thought about it from that perspective because of how much media we have now for the sport. It's interesting to think back how it's not been that long since we've had that type of coverage. And for you, that's got to be, especially like now everyone can see what Scott Stokely can do, and not just hear about what he's done. Right. So that makes perfect sense.
Well, and this is the funniest part, you know, also it's in the documentary, I talk about this, which was our brains are assholes. And I don't know if this is a PG show, but there's no other word to describe our brains. Our brains are assholes. And so what happened was when I made that shot, I turned around and I saw GK Pro and I saw everybody with their cell phones. And then my first thought was, oh my God, one of my shots is going to be part of our sports history. And immediately after, my next thought was, hey, you know, Scott, if you miss this putt, that's the one everybody's going to remember. And I was just like, I had this conversation with my brain where I'm like, really, brain? Really? You can't just let me have this one? Just this one time for me? That's a true story.
Oh, man.
But
I
I enjoyed it for a few seconds.
It's all you get.
Yeah, right.
Talking about the first, you were saying, Lucas, about how the media for disc golf is so much different now than it was back then. I remember the first exposure I ever had to any disc golf media was the videotape of, I think it was like 98 or 99 Worlds in New York when you were on the Final Nine. That was the first I'd ever had. And I actually had that videotape up until about maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 moves ago. And that was the first I'd ever seen of Scott Stokely was the.
Yeah, and then you probably came away thinking this guy is the worst putter in the history of disc golf. Why is he on the lead card?
Well, that leads us to our next question, and I think we might be able to answer a little bit of that. At one time, you held the world record for forehand and backhand.
Mm-hmm.
What were the distances, and how would these monster throwers today throw with it? How would they do with an XL?
Sure, I will give you my opinion. Well, the distances aren't opinion. I threw 656 feet, 0.2 feet, which is just 200.01 meters with an X clone, which is a speed 6 or 7. I threw an XL 211.32 meters, which is 693 feet. So I threw the 693.3 feet with an XL, which I think is a speed 7. And then I threw a speed 7 X2, 568 feet. But again, it's a speed 7. I did these with moderate winds. I did them in normal conditions. So the answer to how players would do today, promise me you won't disconnect after the first half of this answer because I will sound like an ass when I say it. So don't click off till I finish. The answer is I would beat every single player playing today at distance, backhand, and sidearm. Now, I would expect the best distance throwers of today to say to you, absolutely, they would beat me. So I believe that I would win, but they should also believe they would beat me. Like we should all think that we would beat the other person because that's why we've gotten good at something, right? Mm-hmm. So I say that because I'm confident, because that's what you're supposed to think, right? I will tell you this, as far as distance competitions, throwing distance is different than throwing golf. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the Pro Tour, David Wiggins outthrows everybody on the Pro Tour. He's a distance thrower. And when I see David Wiggins throw, I think, ooh, we would have a good match. And when I see Simon Lizotte, who actually can throw distance, he's gotten a little older now, I think, ooh, we would have a good match. The golfers out there with the golf distance they're a tick behind because it's not distance, it's golf. It's not the same thing.
Did you get to see Anthony Barella at the All-Star with his 700?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I'm a huge fan of AB. I feel like when I watch him throw with the 360 that he's like we'll go ahead and throw him in that group too. Yeah, he definitely shreds at it. But distance throwing is different. I mean, the guys on the PGA Tour, none of them win long drive competitions, and they hit a ball a mile. Distance is different. So back in the 80s and 90s, players specialized in different disc sports, and distance was one of them. So if I told you names like Peter Albers or Christian Sandstrom, Chris Vogt, Thomas Palmer, Nicolas Bergaham, it's like crickets, right? No, well, all of those players throw as far as Anthony Barella. They were distance throwers. They specialized. So it's not a knock on AB. AB is, I mean, at this moment, in my opinion, is probably the best player in the world. He's undefeated on the Pro Tour, right? So AB's the best. but distance throwers are distance. It's a different discipline.
Yeah, it's definitely different because David Wiggins is definitely not the same as a golfer as a lot of those other guys, but he is amazing with that distance.
Yeah, David Wiggins is. I would love to throw against Wiggins. Like I can say, well, all those players I just named, I consider peers, and I put Barella and I put Lizotte in that group. As far as touring players, Lizotte at his peak, and Barella for sure. 80 shreds. I'm not, don't say that I have anything negative to say against Anthony Barella. He bombs.
He's still growing into his body. I mean, he may be an 800-footer at someday. I mean, that's not really out of the realm. I don't think so.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing about as far as the sidearm. In my opinion, right now, I still throw a sidearm farther than anybody on tour. I just went out to a clinic in El Paso. They walked it off or shot it with a laser. It was 550 feet. So I'm still throwing sidearms pretty darn far.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
There may be players who throw as far as me, but I don't think anybody's out throwing me. But here's the thing: I only threw a baseball in the low to mid 80s, and players can throw baseballs 100 miles an hour. So what it tells me is that the ceiling of where the sidearm can go is way past where I've ever thrown. Like if I can only throw a baseball 83 miles an hour, clearly I don't have the physical arm speed as many other athletes out there. One of them starts playing disc golf, they're going to throw sidearms a lot farther than I ever have, for sure. So anyways, even my record, I was like, yeah, this record's I'm holding the spot for the real sidearm king to come.
I'd say 550 is that's pretty real.
It's pretty good, but it's like I think it'll get pushed back beyond that. I don't think we're near our sidearm ceiling. I think backhands are probably not going to go much harder than they are today, but I think sidearms still got a ways to go.
Well, we're getting more and more freak athletes into disc golf instead of the guys who are going to the park to wind down. Like you said, we're getting people who are specializing. So
there's people that are going to be like, hey, I could go play AA baseball with a tiny chance of making it. And but I love disc golf. And when that player comes along, they're going to throw 700-foot sidearms. I guarantee it. And then it's going to be like, I will just be a note in the sidearm lineage. I'll take my place in history, but I want to pass the torch to somebody else. Like they would have just set fire to me. So anyways, I throw farther, but I'm very humble about what's possible. It's not me, it's someone else.
One of my favorite things following you over the last, I've been around the sport for 25 years, Scott, and over the last 5 or 10, one of the things most near and dear to my heart has been your work with the special needs community. I have a son who is low functioning autistic, and it's been really great to see what you do with the autism community and with special needs folks in general. Where did that come about? What was the genesis of that whole movement for you?
So I love to share the story of how that started, because I think it's important that people don't put someone on a pedestal for doing good things, that there can be very real human reasons for doing things. I got into promoting autism events to impress a girl, right? So there's no sainthood being given to my origins. I'm just a guy who thought she's pretty, and if I impress her, maybe things will work out. And that's really where it started. I was running an event. She had a son with autism, and I thought this would, make her happy. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I just started doing it and fumbled through it, probably very poorly for a while. It turned out I enjoyed it. So what started off trying to impress her, I did because it was fun. Probably still not very humanitarian reasons at this point. I was enjoying it. When we split up, when I left her, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And then I would post, and I'm going to go play a tournament. And then I'd get 3 messages. When's the special needs class? What time should I bring my son out? And it had just basically took on a life of its own and become a thing that now became part of my identity. And during that process, that's when I started getting letters from people saying what it meant to them and how much they appreciated me, and from places that I hadn't even been, just the fact that I was doing it. And all of a sudden I found a lot deeper meaning. So eventually I developed these very, I think, very sincere, positive motives, but it didn't start there. It started just because I'm a guy who wanted to impress a girl.
I love the
So
honesty.
no, but it's true, because I think people like think that you have to be this like special person to do special things, and you don't. You just have to be a person. Or if I could offend my audience in 2024, be a man. Just go ahead and be a man and do the things to provide for the world and provide, and it makes you feel like a man, right? And that's what it was. I felt like a good person. And then I realized, hey, when I go to sleep at night and I think, hey, well, I'm really proud of myself today. Damn, that feels pretty good. I think I'll just keep doing that. I like the person that I like who I am, but I like that, like a lot of people, I had to evolve into the person that I am.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to start there. It doesn't have to start with pure motives. It just start by doing good stuff, and then you'll probably find things about it you like.
That's
Did that come across preachy? I didn't mean to come across like so
no,
boxy.
no.
that's
I love
perfect.
the very human answer, right? I mean, it's a very human answer, and like I said, I've been around the sport for 25 years, and you've been, I've followed you that entire time, but I had a deep appreciation for what you've done over the last, over that time period. And I wanted to take this opportunity from those of us within the autism community, within the special needs community, and just say thank you for what you've done.
Well, I appreciate that, and that does as much for me as I've done for you, because it makes me feel good when I put my head down tonight on the pillow, and then I want to keep feeling good. If I could just take a second now to pitch to the autism community, because one of the things you mentioned that your son is low functioning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of the things that I've always promoted, and this is for anybody listening who has a family member with special needs, is I don't run special needs. I've run 286 Blue Power events in 286 cities around the world, mostly US. I don't promote them as an event for kids and adults with special needs. I promote them as for kids and adults with special needs and their families.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One of the things that I found is that what I've learned, which I would never have known until I was exposed to this world, is the impact that it has on the family. And so what I try to do with these events is not necessarily just teaching disc golf to the kid with special needs. I'll be honest, in some cases, I don't even know if I'm getting through to that child. Higher functioning, certainly I am. Lower functioning, I'm not inside their brain to understand what they understand. But what I'm doing is I am introducing something where the family then says, wait, I can do this with them. I can take them out. I can go out to the course to play. And it's about introducing the game to the whole family, because it's a sport you can enjoy as a family. So one of the big things I've been promoting or trying to promote for years now is the idea that disc golf is a parallel sport. And I don't think for a second that I invented this word, except whenever I Google it, I can't find anything on it. But I probably got it somewhere. But the idea of parallel sport and why disc golf is so great is that it's the opposite of a competitive sport, meaning you're not playing against a person, you're playing side by side against an element, right? So tennis is a competitive sport. You play against another person. Ping pong is a competitive sport. Bowling, archery, golf, disc golf, darts, these are parallel sports. And the benefit that parallel sports offers to those families in the special needs community is that when you play a competitive sport with someone with special needs, you may get a lot out of that playtime. You're bonding with your family member, you're getting out in the sun, maybe you're getting exercise, you're enjoying their joy. But the one thing you're not usually doing is playing the sport, right? You play tennis against someone with special needs, you're not necessarily really playing tennis. You're enjoying the game of tennis, but you're not really playing the game. Well, when you play disc golf, it doesn't matter the level of the people you're with, because you are on the tee pad throwing to that hole or to that basket, which means you get to play the game just like you would if you were golfing next to me. And I think there's an appeal of what I'm trying to promote is that this could be a very appealing thing for a family, right? Like, no kid into disc golf is going to mind taking their kid brother with Down syndrome out to a disc golf course, because you get to play golf too, right? You're not having to change your game for them. You're playing side by side, parallel with them. And so it's been a really important thing, is that it's not just for the people with special needs, it's for the whole family to see this is a game we can go compete at full speed ahead, right next to someone with physical or developmental disabilities. And I think that's appealing. And that's that's the whole idea of what I'm trying to promote with Blue Power.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it rings true, and no one looks for sympathy in the special needs community, because none of us really want that. But you did say something that's quite true, and it is impactful to the families most of the time in a positive way. But there's times when it's not easy too, and having folks like you out there with a platform and the desire to push the message forward is, like I said, I can't thank you enough.
No, you're welcome. Well, it's invisible. What goes on inside your house, what you deal with on a day-to-day basis, no one gets to see but you and your family. And I was completely unaware of this entire world until I was exposed to it. I was ignorant. And by the way, when I say I'm exposed to it, I'm watching through your window. I'm still not living your life. But I wasn't even aware that your life existed before until I got exposed to this world. And I went, wow, it's invisible. Like, you probably know this. It's your neighbors probably don't know what you do day in and day out. So yeah, I'm happy to do what I can. Greg, how old's your son and what's his name?
He's almost 10, Cooper.
Okay, well, please. Hello, Cooper. If you're watching, hi, Cooper.
He's jumping on the trampoline.
He will.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we'll switch gears here, and let's talk about manufacturing discs, Scott. What made you take the leap at this point in your career? Where can our listeners and our viewers go to buy these?
Okay, so here we go. So I'm now manufacturing golf discs. The first 2 discs are out. I have an overstable mid-range called the Cardinal. I have a straight flying beadless putter called the Wren. Fantastic plastic. They're great discs for my company, Stokely Discs. These are, 100% original molds. Every disc being made is run on our machines, being shipped from our warehouse. When you're a pro shop getting a sales call from a salesperson, I'm signing their paycheck, right? It's my company. I will always want to add, I have help in the mold designing process and in the manufacturing process, because there's a whole skill set in making golf discs. So I have help in the manufacturing process, but it's my company. As far as why I'm doing this, it's actually a really funny question, and I'm actually going to make a video to post to my YouTube channel, but I don't mind sharing here. So here's why it's a good question. Right now. Yes, here's why it's a good question. So I don't need to do this. I'll be honest. I can just set up some clinics, some full day seminars. I got my online class. I'm lucky at this point in my career that I make plenty of money. And when I do work teaching disc golf, I love to teach disc golf. I don't need the money. I'm not rich. I still need to keep making money, but I'm saying I don't need extra money. I mean, everything I own is in a backpack. I'm never going to have a home. Here's the thing, though. I've been doing work within the special needs community. For example, if you follow me for the past 3 years, I've donated 100% of my prize money to special needs organizations. It's been somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000, right? A lot of money to me in the big picture, not that much money, right? But it's something I like to do. There's a lot of things I want to do to take money. I've also, in the last year, though, become passionate about wanting to bring disc golf to developing countries around the world, like Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia. certainly South America, although I haven't been there. My feeling is this: I've accomplished a lot with thousands of dollars. I can't even imagine what I can do with add a couple zeros. And so my reason for starting this disc company is I want to make lots and lots of money that I can then allocate towards these projects that I care about, which is special needs and adaptive disc golf and disc golf in developing countries. And I'm in a very unique position because I don't give a shit about money. I give away all the money I don't need. Like I'm weird, right? I'm a financial planner's worst nightmare. No, this is the truth. God's honest truth. When we were leaving Europe, the last tournament I played, I won $2,000. I sent it to Disc Golf Philippines. When we decided to come back to the US, I told my girlfriend to book us a plane ticket. She's like, yeah, we don't have enough for a plane ticket. I just don't care because you know what I did? I booked a bunch of clinics and sold tickets to my clinics. And then we bought a plane ticket, flew back, and I went and did clinics. Like I'm in this great position where I can actually just book events and make money. So I'm like the perfect candidate to do these things because I can do these projects without worrying about a return on investment. Like I'll never make a penny promoting disc golf in Africa, but I don't care because I have no intention of dying with money in my mattress. Like I don't care. And so I just need more money than I currently make to do the stuff I want to do. I got big plans, man. I got big plans to bring disc golf to developing countries, which I'll be outlining over the course of the season. But it's never going to be profitable ever. It's always going to be a labor of wanting to spread disc golf around the world. So I started this disc company because if I'm successful with it, I'm going to have a hell of a lot of fun doing cool stuff.
Are the discs ready to go out to distributors now?
Well, the retail discs have shipped. The pre-production prototypes are available at StokelyDiscs.com. And we have a limited number of, but when I say limited, we ran quite a few. We are signing up to take wholesale orders right now. First come, first serve. The first runs have been in production for weeks and will be in production a few more weeks before they start shipping. You have to have like a lot of discs available to start filling orders. One of the things that I'm doing differently, I like anytime you start a business, well, what is the niche I'm trying to fill, or what is broken that I'm trying to fix, or where's the hole that I could plug, right? There's always got to be something different, or else you're probably going to have a hard time. Oh, thank you. And one of the holes in my opinion, is that I think that the manufacturers, who are all my friends, I am not knocking all my friends out there, but I don't feel like they necessarily do things to support the pro shops the way I think pro shops should be supported, right? The pro shops, like this is the free market and capitalism at its very best. The pro shops are the people that are typically running leagues often, or they're supporting the clubs that run leagues. The pro shops are getting courses put in the ground. And it's fantastic that they're doing this because if they get more courses in the ground, they sell more discs and make more money. Free market, win for everybody. But nonetheless, the pro shops they're the boots on the ground. And I think that they need to be supported, in my opinion, better than they are. So what I'm doing is I have a whole bunch of policies that I'm introducing for my shop. For instance, you are never going to buy a disc off my website that is less expensive than you can buy from a pro shop, which includes no 40% off sales. Like, I won't undercut the pro shops 40% off this week. No, it will always be better to buy a disc at a pro shop. Like, that would be just an example of things that I'm going to do because I want pro shops to be successful because they're the ones that are growing the sport probably more than anybody. So that's the whole I think I can hopefully fill. I'm also going to be starting a massive campaign, which is going to be, I haven't thought of a name for it yet, but it's going to be basically promoting the idea of buying local. Like, hey, everybody, I know it costs $1 less from Amazon. Amazon isn't going to city parks departments trying to get a new course in your town. Like, spend the extra $1 at your pro shop. Like, I want to like scream at everybody, like, these are the people you need to support because they're the ones that are making disc golf better for you. And so I'm going to be allocating some of the money simply towards a marketing campaign saying buy local. By the way, I'm not saying buy Stokely discs local. I'm saying just buy your discs local. So anyways, I'm going to be the pro shop company. Some people are the players company. It's like, no, I'm going to be the company that is supporting the pro shops.
Well, I'll be visiting StokelyDiscs.com during my lunchtime or planning period tomorrow. And
well, if your store doesn't have Stokely discs, please feel free to buy off the website. But call your pro shop first.
If only I knew a guy who I could get frisbees from.
I got a few. I don't have a storefront, but I run lots of tournaments and events around Wichita, so I have a trailer that I pull around. And
perfect. And the thing is if people buy discs from you, it makes no sense that someone saves $1 rather than buying a disc from you when you're the one who's running the league they enjoy every Tuesday. Like you need to be supportive. So when I say pro shops, I'm talking about local vendors, it's a loose term, pro shop. It could be clubs selling club discs. Buy from the local club. Like buy from me only if you can't buy them anywhere else. But support the people that are growing your sport locally because they're the ones that are. I mean, when you know that new bench you got on hole 9, that was paid for because people bought discs from the shop. Like, and I don't think people necessarily I don't think they necessarily even think. They just go, $1 less. They're not realizing that it benefits them to spend that extra $1.
Yep.
That's true. They don't realize that.
Well, they're about to because I'm going to be doing a national campaign to tell them.
Can't wait. Wait.
I'm doing a national campaign telling people not to buy directly from me if it's available to Pro Shop. And when I sell a disc to you, I make $1. When they buy off my website, I make 12. And I'm still telling them to buy from you because when we're talking big picture, it's better for all of us, including me, if they support you. Like I make more money when they buy from you than when they buy from me in the long run.
Yep.
It's the big picture approach, not the short term.
Yep. That's not a lot of people think that way. Everybody sees
they're about to.
It's an innovative way to think. Yeah, I love it. I mean,
it's also the truth. It's also the truth. I'm going to make all the other manufacturers. Did I mention these are all my friends? Please don't get mad at me, all my friends out there. Like every single manufacturer just about is like in my contact list on my phone. I mean, I've known them for years. I love them. I love what they do. I don't knock their business practices. I'm just going to do things a little differently than some of them are doing. That's all.
Yeah, totally dig it. It's awesome.
So
super creative. Do you want to ask this last question, Smitty?
I'll ask the last question, then we'll give Scott open reins to do whatever promotion or thing he wants to share or whatever. So
if you want, here's why this could be like a win-win for us. I'll take my shirt off. You can tease a little bit of skin and then send a link to my OnlyFans page.
God, yes, yes, please.
Hey, by the way, you know why I don't have an OnlyFans page? Because I don't need the extra 40 cents a month I would make.
I thought maybe your feet were pretty nasty. Couldn't sell those feet pics, Scott.
Oh, why? Spoiler alert! I have nasty feet.
Okay, so if Scott Stokely could go back in time and tell young Scott Stokely one important piece of advice, what would that be?
Do exactly what you do. Do exactly what you did. I wouldn't change anything because I like who I am. I like where my life's at. I like everything about it. And that's actually difficult to say because I have failed at life, just like I think most of us probably at life. And I've made mistakes, and there's people that I've hurt, and there's like I've always been a good person, but I've failed at times. And I would love to have not hurt the people that I hurt while I failed. But at the same time, I wouldn't change. I honestly wouldn't change. I'm so happy with who I am and where I am right this second that I would say do exactly what you're doing. I honestly would.
I think that's the advice in itself is it sounds like even when you made mistakes, you always learn from those. I think that's the biggest thing there is if you're learning from your mistakes, then you're in such a better spot than you were. So that's
Oh my
awesome.
God. No, look, it's just off topic, but it's like, if you're not evolving as a human, I don't know why we're here. Like you should always be trying to improve. I mean, one of the biggest, I've dated a lot in my life, and probably the single biggest deal breaker of someone I'm dating, the minute I hear any sign of, well, this is just who I am. Like, wait, what? So there's something about you that you don't like, and this is just who you are. I'm like, that is completely the biggest turnoff in a human to me. Whereas if somebody says, I don't like this part about me, damn, I screwed up again with this thing I don't like, but I'm trying. I will be patient with that person forever if they're always trying to evolve. Like, we shouldn't accept who we are. We should always try to be better, I think. Now that was on a soapbox. I'm sorry.
It's a good soapbox to be on.
But it's true. Like, I'm always trying to improve, and then I'll fail again in the future. I'm positive, but I'm going to try not to. I'm sure going to do my best not to.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that way of thinking. I wish I had the ability to think that way. And I mean, if everybody could think that way, just think how awesome the entire world would be if we just didn't concern ourselves with what other people thought, and we just did what we knew or thought was the best. Would be awesome.
We try our best. I'm just a person. I fail too.
Yep. I love it, Scott. Well, thank you so much for meeting with us, for talking with us.
You guys are great. Thank you.
So much fun. Is there anything that you'd like to share before we sign off? You'd like to let everyone know watching?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have an online class called Become a Complete Disc Golfer at scottstokely.net. You can read all about it. I got Stokely discs at stokeylydiscs.com. You can throw those discs. Follow me on social media. But other than that, just keep being you. And if you enjoy me, follow me. If you don't, follow someone else in disc golf. I don't care. Just follow disc golf.
Well,
all right.
I can't wait to see how you do in Waco and the rest of the year. And I'm with Ronnie, man. I say we push to get this dude on the feature card.
We got to do it.
I'll hopefully, I don't know, the first tournament of the year, I might be awful. Hey, by the way, I do have one more thing. scottstokely.net/Discord to join my Discord server. That's the inner circle. But right on. Hey, thanks, you guys. I appreciate everything.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
so
you,
much, Scott. It was great.
Oh, there you go. Oh, no, not CNET.
Hold
Scott
on.
Stokely.
I can't type. It's on my phone.
Okay, that's fine.
There we go.
There we go. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
Scott.
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 No
Thanks,
problem.
man.
All right. Yeah, man. See you guys.